It's not a bird, it's not a plane, it's Superhero Slate. It's a modern podcast where we talk about everything that's great, like movies, TV, superheroes. It's Superhero Slate. Oh yeah.
Hello everyone and welcome to Superhero Slate, the show where we run down the latest superhero entertainment news.
We love TV, movies, superheroes, and apparently McDonald's, so let's talk it all out.
My name is Chris.
And my name is Mike.
And this week, we're talking those Deadpool 3 leaks, Mike. And I'm trying to get on this SEO for Deadpool leaks, because apparently that's what we need to be on.
Drip, 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 baby.
According to Reynolds. Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer officially dropped. We talked a little bit about last week, and I want to talk about the the trailer itself, its references, and then how that has affected the entertainment community within a short period of time this week. Superman Legacy gets some casting details, which normally I wouldn't bring this up. It's not a huge deal, but I think there's some interesting tidbits at the end of the episode we'll talk about with Superman Legacy, because obviously if we know anything about James Gunn, he's out on social media all the time doing all the things.
Yes.
Whether that gets him hired, fired, or both is to be remain to be seen. But we got a nice little episode for everybody today. Very excited.
Yes. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you are checking us out here on YouTube. But also, this is always an audio podcast only first TV show, if you will. I guess you could watch a podcast on your TV, depending on what app you have installed on your smart TV.
There are video podcasts, and Apple has a whole section for video podcasts in their app, but we are not one of those. We just happen to have a video on YouTube. If you want to watch us, see Mike's little animations. People are always impressed with us, Mike. I'm the technical mind of the podcast. Mike is the art director, and I just want to give you
is that the
shout out
case?
for that.
You definitely know way more about all this. If you've ever noticed, whenever I'm out of town, Chris gets a replacement, and whenever he's out of town, we just don't do this show. It's because it can't happen without him. But I do have to say, Chris and I recently have been absolutely obsessed with this new McDonald's venture.
Oh, yes.
So much so that we were just singing the jingle just before we hit record, and we both inserted the new McDonald's called CosMcs into the jingle, and then we just had to wait for the intro of the show to finish so we could keep talking about it. If you're in the Illinois Chicago region, they have a brand new McDonald's, which has kind of been described, at least to me through TikTok, as Dunkin' Donuts, Starbucks, Dutch Brothers kind of competitor. They're seeing a growing market slice, and they want a piece of that pie. So we've been looking at it's been very similar to reporting superhero news. We're looking at telephoto lenses of the menu of the drive-through before it opened, and people doing it's been really silly
like how they're building the whole building and keeping everything under white tarps. Like the Deadpool 3 set is more visible than what McDonald's has been doing in Illinois the past 6 months. But anyone who listens to the show for one knows we're big foodies, right? We're huge food motivation, anything with a gimmick. And I shared with Mike the, I guess, quote unquote official menu release as well. And what I found interesting was 90% of this menu is drinks. Is all liquid based things you will not get at a McDonald's either. It's not they're bringing over the Coke machines from McDonald's. This is stuff it's got turmeric in some of the drinks. There's special there's mixes and things.
Yeah. They got food items with queso now, which is pretty badass.
That was Mike's big takeaway. Was they have queso.
Yeah. Hey, they got queso. I mean, you're never see queso in a McDonald's. And I must be in some sort of algorithm loop where I also get this ex McDonald's corporate chef that shows up in my feed occasionally. And he likes to answer questions about McDonald's that, maybe he wasn't allowed to answer back when he was working there. But one person asked, why does McDonald's, never experiment as much as, a Taco Bell or a Burger King, with their menu? And he said it's because McDonald's, just its scale is so massive, even in the United States, that whenever they roll something out, if it's gonna leave just a little test market, they have to be able to supply the entirety of North America to have the same menu. So he laid it down an example of they were looking at some sort of blueberry breakfast item. I don't remember what it was. I don't know if it was a pancake or a muffin or whatever it was, but they did the math and if we rolled this out, we wouldn't have enough blueberries to make it So like there's not enough in the continent that we live on to get enough blueberries to make this item. So I think CosMcs will be kind of like a fun playground for them where they don't have to worry so much about intense supply chains.
Yeah, and again, for those who don't know, McDonald's corporate is in Chicago. So the first one will be in Chicago open the next 6 months. The other 9 they're opening are all in Texas. So if you live in Texas over the next year, keep your eyes out. Let us know what you say. I think this makes me want to, like, I don't think I'm going to go to C2E2 next or this spring, but like in the fall, I think there's like a fan fest up there, and I might go to that. I'm like, well, that'd be a great trip to go to the CosMcs, right? Go to convention and that, but
love it.
I'm we're loving it, Mike. That's how it goes, right? I mean, that's what we did to our song. That's very exciting. Moving on. I don't have Disney. I have Disney Plus, but I don't have Hulu. Mike, do you have the bundle, right? Were you able to get the
I have
beta app?
Well, I haven't opened up.
Okay.
I haven't opened up Hulu, but I did open up Disney yesterday, and I didn't notice any particular like splash screen or branding. So maybe I just missed it, or I don't have the update.
You might not be in it. So the beta's released, and a listener on the show, Jason, has it, and he sent me a photo of his. Like immediately he was like, I got it, and I'm like, so it's essentially Disney Plus, but there's an extra icon to the right with just a Hulu icon, and I'm gonna actually share it to you. Like you like if you're not
Originals.
looking, it's not even that. It's just like where National Geographic and Star Wars and Marvel have their icons. It just says Hulu. So I just text it to you, Mike. You can take a quick look, and it's like. It's very subtle, and I'm like, this makes sense. It's weird. It's at the end of the app. I figured they'd put it at the front of the app with all the content from Hulu, but maybe they also have to pay licensing per streaming. But it is out, and I have heard, and this is obviously something that will probably be rectified over time. Not all Hulu content is in here because you have to license it to where it'll play, right? And some of it probably didn't have a transferable license into Disney Plus app yet. But I thought that was cool, and I just want to give a shout to Jason for sharing that, because again, I don't have Hulu. I don't know if I have to have Hulu to see this, like, or if I just open up my Disney Plus and they're like, oh, here's a Hulu, and click on it, and they try to get you to upsell into it, kind of deal. I'll
have to take a look. Our media digestion is a little different this month.
Yes.
Like a lot of other people, it's just a lot of Christmas movies. So I'm bouncing around left and right between streaming services or purchased digital movies, which thankfully still exist on my Amazon Prime account.
Yes.
So maybe when January rolls around, I'll kind of figure this out.
And I was curious to, again, I know you guys, you and your household definitely does a lot more media consumption than we do, right? Because I live in Plex essentially year round. But like if Christmas movies were on Hulu, or if they had a curated Christmas section in Hulu, like, can you get to it from Disney Plus? But we'll take a look. But yeah, absolutely, if that's there. If you have any thoughts, let me know. I just want to call out, I like how unintrusive it is. I thought it's a very smart design, and it fits with the aesthetic of Disney Plus. Moving on, we both have 2 Christmas movies we want to talk about real fast at the top of the show here.
Yeah.
So hop on into that.
We were coincidentally, I believe it was on Hulu, scrolling through Hulu, just looking for something, quick, easy, just throw it up while we were eating lunch one day, and right on the front cover was a picture of Justin Long. If it's Justin Long, I'm watching it. I love that guy. It's called Christmas with the Campbells. So I was like, how did this guy get roped into like a Christmas, like a Hallmarky Christmas movie?
Is he only doing Hallmark movies and horror movies? I feel like that's the only 2 like sides I see Justin Long in, though.
Well, so this one is pretty interesting. Like, normally I would maybe like bury the lead or like maybe tell you to go experience it for yourself, but this is like a quote unquote like Hallmark Christmas movie made to like parody the Christmas movies. It doesn't go as hard as and intense as like a Wet Hot American Summer or They Came Together, where David Wayne, the director, really leans into those stereotypes and those gimmicks and everything in those films. Christmas with the Campbells, it's just kind of like you're watching a normal Hallmark Christmas movie, and then all of a sudden the characters are like swearing, or they're talking about like going to bed and like giving each other like like afternoon delights under the covers or something. So it's like they still try to keep it like PG-13, but it's definitely rated R because they're swearing in it. It's a very surreal experience. Essentially, the best way to describe it is if you're ever with your friends together and you sit down to watch one of these kind of like cheesy made-for-TV Christmas movies, and then you and your friends are just kind of like riffing, while you're watching it, like, oh, wouldn't it be funny if they said this or something like that. The director or the writer basically like, oh, let's just put those things that you're saying directly into the movie. So it's very weird and very confusing, but I think it's worth a watch. So go check out Christmas with the Campbells to be very confused. I don't think it's a great movie, but what they're doing is like interesting enough. I think it's just worth checking it out. And if you got Hulu, I believe that's where it is. Okay. It's not going to cost you anything.
No, yeah, that's pretty good. I mean, yeah, I just know, yeah, Justin Long, he's always in some weird stuff, but like not bad. So that's pretty cool that he's getting there for that. I was going to. I didn't know you this, Mike, but Merry Little Batman came out this week. I think we've talked about it a little bit here or there, and we were talking about it before the show because I was having some tech issues and we were solving it and conversing. But I literally just watched it this morning, came off fresh off of it. It's on Amazon Prime, which is weird because Mike, you thought it was going to be on Max because it's a DC thing, but this is one of the few properties that was picked up by another distributor, Amazon being one of them, and it's there. And I've actually not seen any advertising for this, but you have. You said you've seen a big poster out in your neck of the woods.
Yeah.
But obviously Amazon doesn't do a lot of trailers or stuff like that. But Merry Little Batman's interesting because this is a really, it's an hour and a half movie. It's a full length movie, Mike, which you said blew you away. That it's not like a little short. So it's a full 90-minute movie. And it's really interesting because it deals with Damian Wayne, who is Batman's son from the comics, but he's like 8 years old in this, and it doesn't specifically say it's a Damian from the comic books because it doesn't sound like he's trained in assassin arts. Like instead, he knows his dad's Batman and like he's been training, I guess, him a little bit in this. But I wanted to talk about the art style in this, Mike, because it strikes me as 3 different generations of art all in one. Which comes off with a hand-drawn animation style, right? You've seen the things. It looks like pencil drawings, like pencils, like manual lines. I know it's done in computers, but it looks hand-drawn. The backgrounds remind me of something kind of like out of like like the 90s cartoons, like Real Monsters or something like that. And there's some side characters, some henchmen that even give me like characters like designs you'd see in like Doug, the show Doug from the 90s. And then some of the other characters later on, like in the city, are like stuff you'd see in regular show. So this thing is all over the place. Visually, is a treat because I wanted to call it. You're familiar. You've done this for our opening. The squiggle lines like Doug used to do in old shows. They do that, but with textures on the characters in this. So the backgrounds are static, but they change the textures on like a character while they're on the screen to kind of give them a little bit of motion to it. And I thought that was a very interesting.
I learned just recently that those line squiggling, it's called line boiling, which I thought was kind of cool because it does look like. So it sounds like you got like boiling textures. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and I was watching. I'm like, oh, this is like. Not only is the story fun, it's a Christmas thing. It's very. I think it's very holiday. It's not the best thing I've ever seen, Mike. But I'm like for free on Prime. I'm like, this is a good time. I'm glad it's not in theaters for sure. But I had a really good time watching it. But I was like the designs, the choices along the way were probably just as interesting to me as the story was throughout this. So, I think it'd be interesting for everyone to check it out. I had a good time, and obviously it's the holiday time of year, right? So we on my Plex, I have a fake TV channel set up, Christmas movies that just play 24/7 on there.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
So I watched Yogi Bear's First Christmas. I don't know if you've ever seen that animated treat from
no,
the 80s. It's funny. Obviously we have Muppet Christmas Carol coming up. That's one of our favorites. But Merry Little Batman now on Amazon if you want to do that. But we're gonna start off the show by talking about some video game stuff. But Mike, you want to jump into your little update here? It looks like you have.
Oh yeah, I forgot I put this in here. Yeah, I've just been making more progress in Tears of the Kingdom now that I've wrapped up Spider-Man. And I'm convinced I'm playing this game wrong. I know it's an open world, and they want to encourage people to play however they want. But I got a bug in my brain that I don't want to do anything until I fully unlock the map. So I've unlocked the surface, and now I'm underground. and I'm like finding all of like the little underground like seed bloom things. Like I almost have the entirety of the map cleared, and story wise I'm not even close to like halfway done with it. So like I don't think this is how you're supposed to play the game. Like there's like this like functional wheel in the game where you pull up the dial and you can pick these different abilities that Link has. And I've had one slot that's been empty for just like hours and hours and hours and days and days and days of playing. And I'm like maybe close to halfway through the game, and it's still been empty. And I'm just like, why is this still empty? And I just figured out what it does. Like yesterday, I finally unlocked the ability, and I get the feeling that I was supposed to get this like hours ago, like many gameplay sessions ago. So I'm finally starting to get all these different things locked out. So it's just really funny. I just want to know if anybody else has ever played an open world game and they feel like they're doing it all wrong, like all in the wrong order. Like they take a lot of the training, a lot of the guides and the gutter guards off of this game. So I'm just wandering aimlessly.
So it's funny you mentioned that because Fortnite Lego launched on Thursday, right? And it's a open world survival game, kind of like Minecraft. I've never played Minecraft, so there's no tutorials, there's no hand holding. It's like, yeah, here's some stuff, here's some materials, start crafting and building. And I'm like, I don't know what to do in an open world game like this. Like kind of like you are. I'm like, what am I doing? What do I need to start with? Because I'm well in over my head. So absolutely, some open world games without that structure are great for some people, but I think for us, we're not that audience sometimes. But
yeah, but that's it. Tune back in whenever I figure out the next functional thing in this game.
Well, once we get past the start menu with Mike, we'll really start playing the game. You know, he's just watching that video. No kidding. But let's jump in the first video game. The biggest thing this week, and probably, I wouldn't say it breaks the internet, but something that's close to breaking the internet, Mike, is Grand Theft Auto 6. The first trailer we talked last week coming out, and how will it be something, will it not be something huge that affects media? And obviously it has come out, and the trailer officially released on Monday night, even though it's scheduled for Tuesday, because there were leaks online of the trailer. People were I don't know where they were getting it from, maybe other social accounts, other countries, I don't know where, but they were leaking it. So Rockstar was like, well, because of the leaks, we're going to officially put it out on Monday night. And watching this, the first thing I take away from this, Mike, is the density of this game, right? The number of characters, the number of buildings, the cars. Like, this is a very, like, it's old open world games are very open and kind of empty. This looks like it's cram packed to the core, like a very, very lived in Miami, Florida, if you will, at the end of it. Also seems to be followed, the main story is a Bonnie and Clyde style couple, but in the middle of this trailer they took a very interesting turn by referencing a lot of or parroting, or even like almost again one for oneing actual Florida events. And you said this has real Florida man vibes in our chat, and it literally is. Everything that's happened in Florida is in like this thing. There's like, so an alligator going into a store, someone pulling an alligator out of a pool, the Florida Joker, man. I don't know if you've ever seen that official thing. A bunch of stuff in here, but I mean, I don't know. I mean, I've played a lot of Grand Theft Auto 5, 4 and 5. You not so much. I don't think you've played 5 at all, have you?
No.
But like, is this game make you? Is this teaser? I guess it comes out in 2025. Does this make you excited? Are you interested in this just to see what it can do, or no?
Yeah, I guess it just depends what mood I'm the type of player where open world games, like I was just saying, like kind of confuse me. But also I love games that I can just like pick up and play for a little bit and put down, which open world games are great at too. So it's hard for me to find that perfect balance. But the trailer was interesting because it was primarily just cinematic. It was kind of hard to really get any sort of like gameplay out of it or functionality, but maybe they've been waiting so long because they're working on all those mud physics, because I'm sure there's going to be a section of the game where you're going to some sort of like Tough Mudder event, or like getting in those like big trucks with the big like tires and driving through the mud. I was looking for the wacky GTA characters, and they're definitely in this. There's some sort of like wacky granny in this doing something briefly in the trailer. So that's where the game thrives. But since the last game was out for so long, the kind of the legacy of the characters kind of died after a couple years, and then it was more of just like a sandbox where people played and made little viral videos.
Well,
or
the online portion, right, is what took off, and they've updated since. Well, it's interesting. This actually goes back to the Vice City from Grand Theft Auto Vice City. It was like 2002, 2003 when that came out. So I'm excited to kind of revisit that in like a modern graphics, if you will. For that, and it also looks to have like a huge the middle part we talked about. The weird part is like it's like a social aspect to the game. It looks like you're going to be doing social media, getting followers, or like could be a gameplay portion or a mini game kind of deal to gain notoriety.
I mean that is an interesting point. I usually hate it when media crams social media into like their narrative, right? Like when you're watching a movie and like they're just explicitly like showing you like Instagram or TikTok or something like that, because you know that's not going to age very well. I kind of like them kind of dancing around the idea that it exists but not including it. But GTA has always been about like social commentary. They're always like trying to hit the pulse when those games came out. So it would be weird because the last GTA game, as we've said a million times, came out so long ago. Like social media was a thing, but it wasn't as like portable. It wasn't so synonymous and ubiquitous with culture. But you were right. Like now it's like it would be weird to kind of be running around in like a modern city setting without like some sort of like smartphone functionality, you know?
Yeah, the 5 has a smartphone, but it's like here's like 7 apps on it, and you're like, oh, this is rough. So absolutely, yeah, I'm excited to kind of see more. Again, a bunch of other companies have like kind of parodied their trailers or releases or the colors from their teaser this week, and Tom Petty's song that was in it has gone up like hundreds of thousands of like it was just a couple hundred percentage plays over like because of the trailer, right? So so it's just crazy the cultural phenomenon some media game trailers have. But yeah, that was I think one of the biggest game news things this week in media. So we'll keep you guys updated. This is coming out in 2025. Like, so I'll probably end up playing it when it comes there, but you know, nothing else. Just please recommend watching the trailer in our show notes. But the Game Awards were Thursday night at 7:30 my time, 4:30 East Pacific, and boy, that is really. I think they did the math. 18% of the whole 3.5 hour show is actual awards, and the rest are all trailers. So the Game Awards, I think are an afterthought. I really don't like them. But on the show, they brought out one of the most insufferable personalities as an actor, Mike, and that was Anthony Mackie on the stage. And he just kept yelling "shut up" to people in the audience, like playfully, but like he just kept doing that like over and over again. Like he had no, other quips than telling people to stop yelling and shutting up, like playfully, not like mean. But I'm like, oh, this sucks. This is awful. And like, you're great in Captain America, but we don't like you in anything else. But he was up there to threaten us with Twisted Metal Season 2 being confirmed for Peacock.
Oh, no.
So apparently enough people did watch it. We're not, again, I think I've heard both sides. There are people who enjoy the schlocky and stuff, but there are people who don't. Apparently a lot of people watched it. The nostalgia for Twisted Metal is out there, and people wanted to watch the show. So Season 2 is coming, Mike.
I'm just curious if they're gonna turn like an F1 car into a tornado. I don't know how you make that work in real life, but I remember that being a power of the F1 car in Twisted Metal. Yeah,
I mean, hopefully there's actually more Twisted Metal in the show, but it sounds like they're gonna do their little universe thing, cross country kind of deals. But so if you're excited and you enjoyed the show, congratulations, you get another one. If not and you didn't enjoy it, you don't have to watch Season 2. That's the beauty of it. So but that confirmation is God, I can't tell you how grating it was to watch Anthony Mackie on that stage doing that stuff. Like thinking back on it, I'm cringing.
This is Anthony Mackie's worst decision he ever made was to get too famous. We liked him. Me and Chris loved him when he was just kind of like the supporting character, but now that he's been pushed to the front, it's just like, oh yeah, Anthony Mackie, why don't we like you? It seems like on paper we should really like him, but we just don't.
I don't think it, like I'm pretty sure I could hang out with him and be fine with it, but like whenever he's in a public performance or like acting or something, he's too sure of himself, and it's not in a good way. Like There are people who are like, yeah, I know what I can do and stuff, and he's just way too. He's trying too hard. It feels like, and anyway, moving on. One of the other surprise trailers we got was an unannounced Marvel game for Blade. Like the trailer came up, nobody knew what it was. It kind of gave vampire vibes pretty early on, but obviously there are vampire games everywhere. But Bethesda and Arcane Studios have made the game Deathloop, and Dishonored are making a Blade, and we had a new non-gameplay trailer here. But they did talk about it after the trailer and confirmed that it is in fact set in Paris, and you can see that kind of from the trailer, and it's a third-person action game. I think it sounds great. I mean, I like the idea of a Blade game.
Yeah, the art style looks really sick. It kind of has that. I mean, I know it's reductive to say Spider-Verse for everything, but they're leaning into more of like a graphic style for the game. It looks pretty cool.
If you look up Deathloop, it has the same art style as the Deathloop game, which is like that very heavy kind of line art, and it's not cell shading, but yeah.
Yeah, and there's only like, it's just a brief moment where they're just in like a barber shop and he's kind of getting lined up, and then he hears a commotion outside and jumps into action. And there's like a brief shot of his like kind of like a utility belt, if you will, where he has like a revolver, I think maybe some grenades, and of course I think he has swords as well. So I think they're kind of hinting at that. The first thing I thought of a little bit was like Devil May Cry, where you just have like, especially since they said third person. I don't know if that's any sort of like confirmation, but it looks like you're going to have a couple different styles of combat, of like shooting and swords and other. So that'd be kind of cool.
There was a Deadpool game that came out 2014 that was third person action, had swords, shooting and like explosives, and I could see that really translating to a Blade game with that like could be upgrading your guns to kill vampires more. I mean, I imagine some cool stuff like that.
Yeah, I just hope that this is like the start of a new era for Marvel video games, right? Where now we have this Blade game, we have a Wolverine game, we have like that like more was it like World War II?
There's the Captain America Black Panther game.
Or is that Captain
It's Captain America Black Panther. Then there's a regular Black Panther game, and then there's I think a couple more. Yeah.
Yes. So I'm hoping just like the success and the high bar that Insomniac Spider-Man games have set is like a call to action for just Marvel when they're selling their license, to other companies and studios, knowing like people have high expectations now for these characters and IP. So when all of these games start to come out, they've all been like announced, I feel like 1 year apart. So hopefully we should have this cadence soon where like every year we get like an awesome AAA killer Marvel game coming up.
Yeah, just doing a quick thing here. Oh, there's the Iron Man game from EA, Black Panther from EA, Captain America Black Panther from Skydance, Wolverine, and then Blade now. So there are 5. And Captain America Black Panther is the only one that's like a duo kind of deal as well, like a thing. So yeah, I think we're in a good thing. Again, I think Midnight Suns was a great one. I think you said we're in a new era, but I think we've been in a new era. Guardians of the Galaxy, Spider-Man, and Midnight Suns, all fantastic, well received games in that regard. Avengers has that live service stain on it, and I think any live service game is going to have a stain on it no matter what you do when you release it. I know the Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League is coming out, and they're kind of selling it as like a live service game. I'm like, ooh, that didn't work out well for anybody last time. So, but overall, I think there are. I mean, Marvel. I don't want to talk about the mobile games, but Marvel Snap's a pretty good game. I play it every day still. So I agree with you. We're in for a treat coming up, and I think it'll be good. But yeah, you can check out that trailer here. Let us know what you're doing and what you're excited for. And still in the Marvel universe, Ryan Reynolds is trolling us with the set leak photos with his own set leak photos, and I've included his Twitter thread here of all the photos. Now, I will say, doing the show notes for this, there are leaks from the Deadpool 3 filming this area like every day right now. There are characters all over the place. So if you want to avoid spoilers, just don't go looking for any of this stuff. But I think this is a very hilarious response to that, where he has obviously gotten someone to Photoshop in a bunch of stuff into some of these leaked set photos already. And the killer one for me is the Quibi one, Mike. Like I think Quibi is most poignant for this show. But yeah, go on.
Yeah, unfortunately, all of the I think all of the set leaks have already made it into my algorithm, which kind of sucks. But also, yeah, that's what happens when you film outside. People are going to get those lenses and take those photos. But I feel like without spoiling anything, the things that I've seen kind of revealed in like the, nerdy headlines throughout the week is nothing that's particularly surprising, right? Mm-hmm. It's not like there's been like a leak of like, oh, wow, this character that you've never seen before, like, oh, Silver Surfer or something spotted, on set, right? It's all been like, oh, this makes sense to bring back, this character or this character here.
And some of the stuff may not even come to fruition, right? Like, they could just be filming stuff and it may not come through on the final edits. But at the same time, like, how many rumors have we heard about 1 billion people coming into this movie? And, maybe they are filming stuff just to mess with us a little bit. I could see them doing that.
Yeah, and also, like, you could take a little context from this, too, where if all of these kind of sneak peeks are coming from this one outdoor shot where they're kind of just in this like wasteland of like signs and like garbage, similar to that episode of the first season of Loki. Like, this could be a story point in the movie where Deadpool falls into some sort of lost nebulous zone from the TVA, right? They they prune him and he shows up in a very similar place, and then all of these characters pop up, so maybe they all kind of get revealed narratively at the same time.
There's no telling what it is, but I mean, I think if you're looking for the funny ones, there is, in fact, someone has photoshopped the Predator into one of the scenes here. Deadpool holding a bag of cash with Mickey behind him clapping, which I thought was pretty good. Later on, there's Steve Urkel hiding, doing his little Urkel dance in the background as well. So I think these are all hilarious, if you will. And then probably the best way to handle this is he tagged everything Deadpool leaks and Deadpool spoilers. So if you look it up, these are going to be the first ones that pop up, right? So I think that's a very a very good way to get ahead of that, because Ryan Reynolds, with the following he has, those are going to be the most liked, most shared, most retweeted, if you will. So they're gonna take to the top of that line. So you're gonna have to dig a little bit more. The other thing came from a quote-unquote scooper this week is that Wolverine's comic accurate mask is said to be quote-unquote perfection, Mike.
All right.
With the white eyes, like the white lens covers, kind of like Deadpool does. And that the scooper also said, and I quote, "It will make Batman's next cowl have to have the white eyes because it will be so good and true to the character." I wish I was that confident in that too.
Yeah, I'm not imagining that the cowl is on Hugh Jackman's face very long. You don't put Hugh Jackman in a movie, to hide it behind a mask the whole time. So I would imagine, it pops up with it, either gets it shot off, knocked off, he takes it off to have a conversation, and maybe we don't see it again until like the third act or something like that. Well, they could
use it for the action scenes where like Whip puts it on, kind of like how, again, I would say the same thing, but Ryan Reynolds, they actually literally keep him masked and ugly for all of Deadpool 2. So,
well, I mean, yeah. I feel like they put the mask on him to save time in the makeup chair.
Yeah,
though.
that and also for if they're doing any CG effects, they don't have to worry about his whole face. They just need a little bit of his face.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I'm excited to see it. Hopefully, I don't think we're gonna get a trailer before the end of the year, Mike. But maybe first of the year we might get our first look at this, since it's coming out in the middle of the year. So. Really, really excited to see. I did watch Deadpool 2 this week. I did want to say that. And I had a good time. Boy, those movies fire on all cylinders when they're doing the jokes. So, really, really excited to dive back into Deadpool 3. Some early, viewers for Echo, the show that drops in less than a month, say that the episode, the first, I think they watched 2, maybe 3 of the 5 episodes, say that the show is very violent and brutal, similar to Daredevil on Netflix. Like, whenever they go for violence, they are doing blood and making that sure that they use that TVMA rating on this. Which I'm excited to see that. I mean, I'm glad they're not pulling their punches.
I mean, Disney is out there reminding parents that I know we launched our streaming feature without parental controls, but we got them now, and you should probably start using them.
You should have to use them. Yeah, I mean, I'm very curious why they didn't give them all these like early viewers all 5 episodes. Maybe there's some reveal in episode 4 or 5, but
Maybe
they didn't say. I mean, I don't think they were allowed to talk about the quality of the show, but they did talk about the violence. I'm like, that's interesting. Be very excited to see if they can actually, get that Daredevil quality that we know of. If not, this will be swept under the rug. We'll never hear from it again. So one of the two things. Adventure into Fear. Does this name mean anything to you at all? I mean, other than you're looking at the show notes here. Great.
Does not.
So this was a comic book series in the 70s that focused on like the supernatural things in the Marvel Universe. And actually, I think issue 10 or 11 is where Man-Thing made his debut, was in the series. And apparently, I'm gonna chalk this up with a big rumor here, because apparently the series called Adventure into Fear is rumored to be developed by Marvel. Now, this can be one of two things, Mike. One is it's a lie, because all we're hearing from the people at Marvel and Disney is like, we're going to make less and do better. But all we ever hear now is like all these stuff that they're supposedly working on that we have no confirmation. So someone's making it up or someone's lying, probably both along the way. Or two, they had a bunch of horror things that were going to be multiple, like an Elsa show, a Man-Thing, Werewolf by Night thing, other horror things, and they were gonna have separate things, but now they've merged them all into one to save that. And like I said, this show's rumored to focus on Man-Thing, Elsa Bloodstone, Werewolf by Night, and other horror characters. Fine, I guess. I mean, we have no confirmation. Is this something you'd watch if it was like a horror supernatural based show?
Yeah, I mean, at some point they're gonna have to develop that side of the Marvel universe if they're going to bring in a character like Blade. Like, you got to have a background, some sort of strong foundation that kind of vampires can stand on. They already introduced Man-Thing, which was a cool introduction. I really liked that. So but just like always, like, we used to give Marvel the benefit of the doubt for everything that they were going to do, but we just unfortunately can't do that anymore with the kind of state of the MCU. So if they're gonna do it, hopefully they can hire some good writers. If it's gonna be a series, they're all adapting to that new format of actual showrunners and stuff.
My concern is if they are slowing down things, when would we even see this? Like I said that the other day, right? We were talking about the other spinoff shows. Like, they might just be a post reboot, like shows. If they're gonna do this and they're slowing down things, when do we see Adventure into Fear, Mike? Is this another 5-6 years before this comes out? It kind of goes back to that Blade video game a little bit, of like, what's going to come out first, the Blade video game or the Blade movie? And these games take a while to make, unfortunately, because they're extremely intricate and there's a lot going on. So there is a chance we could get this Blade game before we really kind of get the general public back into Blade, it could be either one. Maybe there's some synergy, and like we've talked about before, they come out at the same time. But I just my guess is that there's all these ideas and like things like, hey, we have potential to choose from, and we've got them on, like, again, we always talk about the metaphorical dry erase board, right? There's like the must-haves, the wants, and then the nevers. And I feel like this is like a in the maybe section, like, hey, we have these characters we introduced in that one spin-off thing that did really well, the one shot or whatever spotlights. What the hell were those called? See, I don't even remember the name of them.
Special presentations.
Special presentations, yeah. And so, like, are we ever going to, come back to those characters? So I think they're in the maybes, but I feel it's going to be too far out and too far gone before we get there again. Spectacular Spider-Man. I know a lot of people are big fan of this show, and it's been on Disney Plus for a while streaming, but apparently it's just gone off of Disney Plus out of nowhere, no warning. So it's no longer streaming in the US or UK, and it's kind of like it's just mentioned, unceremoniously dropped, but this is most likely due to licensing agreements because Sony owns the show. So
wow, yeah, I didn't even know that they were licensing it from Sony. I just assumed all of the animated stuff, because even this aired on Disney XD, didn't it?
No, Spectacular Spider-Man, I think. Well, it might have been.
I thought it wasn't XD.
I'm gonna have to look this up.
Well, I guess Disney must have licensed it to get it on to get it on the air. But yeah,
It was
I just assumed it was.
The first season was the CW actually, and then the second season was Disney XD. But it is a Sony Pictures television production. So.
Oh, all right. Well, yeah, I was surprised to hear it wasn't just Disney outright. But yeah, this brings up just like a bigger problem in general of just these digital libraries like constantly in flux. I mean, I don't know if I'm just slightly more forgiving. Just, I guess, everybody kind of quote unquote experienced the early days of Netflix. I guess maybe if you're on the younger side, maybe not, but yeah. I was very used to just streaming services always just kind of dropping, picking back up shows. So I never assumed that, if I had Netflix, I'd be able to watch The Office on there forever. It went away and came back. I think of it more of like, whenever I decide I want to rewatch The Office, whether it's every year or every couple years, I just find the streaming service that it's on and subscribe to it, and then then ditch it when I'm done, right? I follow the content, not necessarily the other way around, like waiting for it to come to me. So yeah, it's unfortunate if anybody like was just like deep into like a Spider-Man rewatch, like their family or their kids or something, and then now it's gone. Sorry, Tommy.
Yeah,
I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah, I think it's gonna. I mean, this is a very niche show that had a cult following afterwards. It only got 26 episodes total across 2 seasons, so this is not, I guess, the bigger thing. But I think there are items like, that would be, again, we talk about Merry Little Batman. Technically, DC owns the rights, but it was produced by it's distributed by Amazon. Where are you going to find this stuff at? Where is it going? Can you watch it? Sony's really they're a good and bad company because they don't have their own streaming app, right? Sony doesn't want to invest in that thing. They just license their content out. But boy, we do not have any insight when those deals come and go. And I'm more used to lately seeing a lot of, hey, these shows are leaving at the end of this month, or these shows are coming at the start of next month, right? Like, you see a lot of articles or things that way. I think Netflix was pretty good about warning people for a while, and they still may be. I just don't know. So I think it's interesting that when they don't make a commotion, things just disappear. Like, are you gonna bring it back?
We need like a little.
Can you do that?
We need like a little icon. When you go on what is it, like macrumors.com, where it tells you whether you should buy a Mac item or not, or
like
if it's
going
to get refreshed soon. Yeah, that's what we need. Like, I need like a big red stoplight, if I'm about to start streaming a series and it's just like, oh yeah, buddy, you're not going to have time to finish that before it leaves.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's great. I mean, I use Xbox Game Pass, and they are really, really good about saying these games are leaving Game Pass. You only have like 4 days to play them, and they're like this. They make a big deal of it. You're like, oh, okay. So like they hope, and they do that in hopes that you'll buy the game when it leaves, kind of deal. Like, it's a little different market, but like at the same time, if Microsoft can do it, the streaming services should be able, to do that as well.
Yeah, I honestly think we need a law passed in this country where you just can't use words like buy or like in the sake of your cell phone plan, unlimited, unless it actually means that, right? Yeah. Because when these things, like when Zaslav pulled all that stuff from the PlayStation Store, right, you didn't buy it, like, and I don't think people should be like, customers should be punished going like, oh well, yeah, technically weren't buying it, you're releasing it, but the button says buy, right? Like, there's a cultural accepted definition of what the word buy means. So like, even though it would look weird and none of these companies would like it, I think they should be forced to swap out the text buy with lease. I mean, I know it feels weird like you're getting a car, but it's the most accurate definition of what it is.
We actually didn't cover that on the show. We just covered that in text this week. Is that people on the Sony PlayStation Store, if you actually purchased / leased digital Discovery content, it is leaving at the end of the year, and there's nothing Sony can do about it. Like, you just will not have access anymore to that, and that is, I agree with you, Mike. That's a huge problem, and that, as people shift to digital, as they stop making physical items, that becomes a bigger problem, right? As people rely on this. Now, again, you brought up, there are some digital storefronts, like Apple or Disney or several things where they're not going to fail on this level, if you will, but Discovery is like how big is Discovery? Like HBO, they're like huge. They're like a huge media company.
Yeah.
So for them to pull it off of a Sony store, now mind you, I don't know how many people bought on the Sony store, but anyone who does and clicks that buy button, and you assume that you're going to be able to watch it at any given time or re-download it at any given time, great. But this is actually being removed completely. You can't even watch it or stream it from there. So like, it's not like you can't even not buy this gone. And that is, and I agree, that is the problem, and that does need to be some consumer protection laws, passed to help with that, because well, we may be tech savvy, we understand it, we pay attention. There are probably, for every one of us, there's 10 regular people who don't and will not understand when they don't get it. So absolutely awful. But Spectacular Spider-Man is something that's, mind you, thank God when you're paying for a streaming service, that is more of a lease, thankfully, and you understand that stuff comes and goes. It's just weird that, again, when Marvel owns Spider-Man, you figure they'd try to at least lock in a longer contract, but we'll see. In other news, Spider-Man Noir, the live-action show that is coming to Amazon, with Amazon and Sony contributing, has hired Steve Lightfoot, who ran the live-action Punisher show on Netflix, as a showrunner. So while we may not be okay with all these Spider-Man spin-offs, at least the Punisher was not a bad show on Netflix. I think
you said this is live. You said this is live action.
This is live action. So this exists in that like Silk, and Spider Society kind of era of deals they were making over there.
It's strange. It's strange, right? I feel like the public has very split version on Spider Noir, right? I would say the more people think of it as like goofy Nick Cage, right? Being like overly dramatic, like and brooding. Whereas isn't the source material like just a little bit more straightforward? It's like actually supposed to be dark, and it's not like just goofy wacky.
the noir universe is set in like the 1920s, like gangster. Everything's like black and white gangster kind of thing, like an origin of that. And he wasn't bit by a radioactive spider. It's not the regular Spider-Man. He's just more of a detective who relies on like spider like style to be I guess a Spider-Man, if you will, in that era. But yes, it's very dark and gritty, if you will.
I think we're about to talk here in just a second about another show, so I think just in general I would be more accepting for these random Amazon Spider-Man shows if they were like just one-offs, right? Like, just like 6 episodes, of Spider-Man Noir. It wraps up the whole, story, and then, maybe they do like a combined live action event, where we see all these characters on the big screen. I just can't commit to multiple seasons of Spider Noir or like Silk.
Yeah. Using Spider-Man Noir as a name is going to be a problem, because the report has also reiterated the show will be set in its own universe, with the main character not being Peter Parker. So when you watch Spider-Man, you expect Peter Parker. Why not just call it something else? Like, just take the core material. You're making a noir show. It doesn't have to be Spider-Man. Why? Well, I know you're just using it because people know Spider-Man, but like, it's not Peter Parker. It's not really Spider-Man Noir. This is gonna suck. This is not gonna be good, Mike, not for anybody. But Amazon is moving forward with it, and there's nothing we can do. But maybe it has a chance to be stopped before it comes to fruition, like this next show. And we just talked about Silk Spider Society. I had an update later this week, I think it was actually yesterday and Saturday, that the Amazon writers' room for Silk will restart in January, right? We talked about them being sued by the WGA. The reason they have not restarted is because the current scripts may not be up to snuff. So whoever's in charge of greenlighting shows over there, I forget what her name is, could be like, this is not good enough. We do not want to pick up this show, and it will be canceled. So
interesting.
So that's why they've not restarted yet. It's because they're going through and checking the status of what's currently being written. So we still have hope, Mike, that these may not come to fruition at the end of the day.
We might get what we want.
Yeah. I think Silk Spider Society, Silk, if they just called it Silk, and they kind of like had some like allusions to like Spider-Man stuff, I think she'd be fine. Spider-Man Noir, I think is the one that I'm just like, please don't do that. That's already a good thing. Don't ruin it even further. But no, well. Star Wars news, Mike. We got some Star Wars news here. I guess rumors. The rumor is that Episode 10 casting announcement is likely soon. Now that the SAG-AFTRA strike is officially over, it was ratified.
Not to be confused with Episode 10 of a TV show.
Yes.
This is episode 10, as in the Star Wars films.
Yes, this
Man,
is the Rey movie they announced, I guess, back whenever.
Yeah, I feel like with these Star Wars movies, I struggle to find anything new to say that I haven't already said in previous weeks, right? It's just kind of like the greatest hits with me of just like Star Wars, we'll see. I don't know. Yeah, I'll leave it at that, I guess.
They need to replenish hype after, episode 9, right? Rise of... Is it not Rise of Skywalker? Was it Rise of Skywalker? Whatever the Skywalker one was.
We don't even know. That's a problem right there. I can't even name the last Star Wars
I can
movie.
tell you everything about Dave Filoni's Star Wars, but I can't tell you about the mainline movie, right offhand, which is the problem. So how do you get people hyped for a Star Wars movie again? What is this going to be? You can't just announce a movie and say, yes, people will go watch it. Yes, Star Wars, even Rise of Skywalker made $1 billion. It will make money, but have a plan. I think, again, I've said this, again, you mentioned the greatest hits, the reiteration, have a plan for your Star Wars movies. Don't just do one and then, hey, we'll give it to some random person to do the next one, and then we'll come back to that original person to do the third one, and they don't make sense anymore. So if they're going to do this, they need to have a game plan, for an overarching game plan, and do this right with that. So the thing is with casting announcements, I guess, to hit these Star Wars movie deadlines, they're going to have to start filming sooner than later. So I think that's why they're hoping to do some announcements before the end of the year, which brings me into the next topic, which is actually The Mandalorian Season 4. Is rumored again to be turned into a movie, and this also being announced before the year's end, so they can start working on that proper rather than start filming a TV show soon. I think
so. What would the cadence be here? Release a Mando movie, a season 2 of Ahsoka, and then that kind of culmination Filoni movie, which I don't remember the name of it.
He doesn't have a name yet. We're tentatively calling it Heir to the Empire, right? Kind of thing. But it would be Mandalorian, possibly Ahsoka, and then the big theatrical culmination movie.
And I guess Andor would be in there somewhere, but unrelated.
We also have Skeleton Crew and Acolyte and Andor, of course. Right. But those were announced for this year. Acolyte and Skeleton Crew are coming this year as well, or 2025 for sure. But if we just talk about this, I think episode 10 would come before Filoni's movie, right? But I also think that's a mistake. If they can get all of this connected stuff out of the way first, that might be better.
That seems to be the smart call. I think you kind of, I think that's, you got to wrap up this kind of thing that you've already started before you start throwing me back into the future. Because the biggest selling point, at least to me, in the audience when episode 7 came out, is like, we're finally moving forward. This is uncharted territory. We're not going back to old Clone Wars events, carving out stories. Even though they were good, we're progressing, right? I love that feeling of moving forward in uncharted territory. So I feel like don't muddle that up with kind of what Filoni's working on right now. Wrap that up, and then let's press on and see if we can
get the focus on his
for $1 billion box office.
Yeah, because I think season 4 of The Mandalorian will be the last. If I could be completely honest between us, right? Whether it's a movie or TV show, I think it is. It will be its last. And it's run its course. It's been a great show. It's done some great stuff. It's set up a huge thing, and if it culminates between that Ahsoka and this movie, get it done, get it out of the way. And then focus on the future, and then you also have the original movie, right? The one that's in the past that they're doing, the First Jedi. That can be a good one-off, but really, really don't have all 3 of these timelines. Sometimes 4 timelines going at the same time. Get 2, if at most get 2. If you can get it down to 1, even better. But I think for everyone's sake, do that. I also think the other thing for The Mandalorian season 4. Do you think this is a Disney Plus movie or a theatrical release to try to recoup some of the costs that they're losing on Disney Plus?
That's a good point. I feel like, the Star Wars audience is smart enough to know how to go to a movie theater, right? But also, everything Mando has been on my couch. So I'm kind of expecting the next chapter of Mando to be on my couch. So I guess they have to balance,
Right. Exactly. Like, and again, Disney Plus has trained people to watch things at home, and that's part of the box office issues this year, right? Like, hey, you don't like it 30 days, 45, it'll be at home. Mandalorian started with the theatrical or Disney Plus thing. It kicked off the whole streaming service. So
I mean, they could do the strategy that kind of Netflix does, where sometimes they do simultaneous, like home and theater, or theater one week and then it's at home the next week. You know,
it really worked out. I mean, I'm not saying this is exactly it, but Five Nights at Freddy's did the simul release, right?
That's true,
and it made a lot of money and did really, really well. So I think there is an opportunity for them to do that. If they want to take that risk, I would like to see if they do a Mandalorian movie. I would probably go to the theaters to watch it just to get that experience, right? Because the thing about Star Wars, no matter if it's a TV show or the movies, the soundscapes and the visuals are always fantastic. So
true.
Getting experience that in the theater would be fantastic, and then being able to come home and watch it again if I wanted to, have it in the background would be fantastic. So always an option. We'll keep you guys posted. Lastly, Superman Legacy. James Gunn, he shared a picture. I think I saw it this morning. He's out doing their location scouting for Superman Legacy, and one of the other things is Kurt Russell and his son. What's his name?
Wyatt Russell.
Yeah, they're finally doing talks for the Monarch show because the actor strike is over. Right? They're doing interviews, so they're out together. The biggest rumor in the world is Kurt Russell is going to be Jor-El in the movie, the father of Superman. And his exact quote was, "Yeah, I'll take on Marlon Brando." I'm like, okay, that's fine, I guess. Kurt Russell would probably make a nice Jor-El, right? I don't see a problem with that.
I mean, this falls into the path, right, of where James Gunn likes to hire people that he's previously worked with. So Kurt Russell has been in his roster before with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2. So it makes sense that he's whipping out his little contact list and calling people that he likes.
And Kurt Russell is not a bad actor. I think he could easily pull it off, right? He's a good actor.
Russell's a great actor.
I know, right? Like, it's not like, we're just picking people James Gunn worked with, because the next one is going to be someone he's worked with multiple times. And it's actually, I would say, nothing against it, but a downgrade. But I think, Kurt Russell would be a fantastic role to play Jor-El. The next bit of news here, our last bit for the show, is that Sean Gunn, the brother of James Gunn, who's in everything he does, will play Maxwell Lord in the DCU going forward. And Maxwell Lord was previously portrayed by Pedro Pascal in Wonder Woman 84.
So is he like, oh yeah, I'll take on Pedro Pascal, taking a quote from Kurt Russell?
Yeah.
Our house loves Sean Gunn because he is known as Kirk from Gilmore Girls in this house. I like that I figured out Sean Gunn as a awesome presence on screen, watching Gilmore Girls with my wife, and then later I found out, who's he related to? Wait a minute.
Yeah, get Sean Gunn, Kraglin in the Guardians movies. Was it Weasel in the Suicide Squad in the upcoming? He's also voicing Weasel and another character in the animated show that James Gunn's doing. It's not Monster Squad, whatever it's called. It's like Suicide Squad with monsters. But again, this version of Maxwell Lord, according to James Gunn, is the comic book version where he's not like like he's like, hey, I'm here to solve problems. Like, everyone is welcome, rather than the Wonder Woman 84 version was more of a self-centered, like, narcissist kind of character, right? Like, I'm lying, I'm more deceiving. So we're gonna get different versions. He's not playing the same character, but Wonder Woman 84 still leaves a bad taste in my mouth like 3 years later. So has it been 3 years? 2 or 3 years later. So, yeah, it's fine. I'm not surprised Sean Gunn will be getting more work in the DCU going forward. So we'll see how that is. Mike, that is our episode this week. It wasn't a lot of news. It is the holidays. For people who may not, in 2 weeks, we haven't already said, 2 weeks we're not going to do a Christmas show because on Christmas Eve. So we're going to be spending that time with our family. We recommend you guys also spend that time with your family and put on Superhero Slate around the Christmas tree. Let them all listen to us together. We can all make it nice.
God, don't do that.
Look, of all the things you've said over the show over the years, Mike, this is like one of the most normal ones.
The only way we can ask an audience to do that is we got to make some sort of looping, like, Yule log animation. Then our faces can kind of just like pop up from behind the Yule log every once in a while.
Exactly. Yeah. It's just us. I'll just replace the table with the fire pit in our video, Mike. Easy done. But if people want to come back and listen to our show next week when we do our normal weekly episode, we also have Aquaman review coming up the end of this month. Where can they get all them goodies at?
Yeah, head on over to superheroslate.com. That is where we hang our stockings above the fire. Superheroslate.com. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, YouTube, Spotify, wherever else you'd love to listen to fine podcasts. Like us on YouTube. Follow us on YouTube.
Follow us on
What
YouTube.
is it on YouTube?
Click the bell, if you will. Subscribe.
Yeah.
Subscribe on the YouTube.
Ring that bell. You can like a video on.
Yeah, you can like
on
a video.
YouTube.
Absolutely,
Yeah, you can. Yeah. Also, podcast reviews are always great too. That'd be a great present for us this year to head on over to iTunes, wherever else podcasts can be reviewed. That's really nice. We love that.
Let's do it in
You can get merch at superheroslate.com/store. We love hearing from you. What do you think about? Do you think Mandalorian should be on Disney Plus, or do you think it should be on the big screen? That next chapter of it. Let us know. Reach out. We love our super fans. If you want to be a super fan of this show, all you got to do is share the show with a friend, share the show with a buddy, and we'll be here every week, folks.
That's right. We will see you guys next week.
Bye.